Welcome to the show, everybody. Hope everybody is doing well today. Hope you can hear me and see me, and I'm going to go ahead and look at the comments here and see what we've got. We are live here, April 23rd. We're going to do some small space training. All right, give me a comment. Let me know that you're here. What you're seeing on the screen is actually me building this course earlier today, and I wanted to keep track of that for this course build based on last week's live, where we talked about how you can set up courses in your own backyard. Let's see, I still don't see anything on Facebook. Oh, wait, I see. Oh, yay! Sarah Baker says hi. Janice says happy to be here. Yes, someone is fast forward setting up a course. That is me. So last week on our live, we talked about how to course build in your own backyard. And so when I built this sequence for you guys that we're going to be doing today, I taped it, and that's what you're seeing here. And I timed it. And this course, which is 4 jumps and a tunnel, took me 9 minutes to set up. And that's with tunnel bags and everything. And so that's what we're seeing here. Just thought this would be a good thing to play on the screen while we wait for people to connect into the live today. All right, Clarissa says they are new and excited to see that. Awesome, I'm really excited that you are here. Today is a pretty advanced sequence that we're going to be looking at, but we will break it down and talk about how to make it a little bit easier for your dog. All right, so that is the end of our course build. And here I am, now we are live. Hello, everybody. All right, so we have a great sequence today. This was taken from a grade 3 course from South Africa. I don't even remember how it is that I happened upon this course. I think it was probably one of our online students asked about it, but I really liked the opening of this course, and that's what we have set up here today. Let's just take a look here. We're going to add numbers to our course out here. Doing good? All right, I got thumbs up from my audio check on the inside. All right, so this is our sequence, and we're going to come out here, and you have a very, very close tunnel. So this is a massive tunnel trap for your dog. So we're going to look at ways to handle the turn from the tunnel to that jump. And we're also going to look at different ways to handle the 1, 2, 3 with this trap. Oh, when I turn away, the sound cuts out. Okay, let me try to be a little bit more careful with my mic and to point my antennas the correct way. So the really intriguing parts of this course are going to be the 1, 2, 3, how we get past that huge tunnel trap, and then how we get our dogs to turn away from the tunnel. And I thought those were 2 very interesting aspects of this course, and I'm going to show you multiple different ways to run this. Now when we look at 1, 2, 3, I think that hopefully you can see that the wing that we want to go to on number 2 is the wing that is closest to the tunnel. So we are going to be looking at that tunnel trap. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. So that number 2, we want to take the wing that is closest to the tunnel. And that's going to really open up that tunnel trap. So that is, we're going to do multiple different handlings, but mostly your dog just has to be able to do that. And so we're going to look at doing that as a forced front cross, doing that as a push to the backside, and then we have 2 other options to show you as well. I'm actually going to demo this live, and then I also have video that I can play in slow motion to show you guys what I'm talking about. So people say it's okay now. We have an image up on the screen now. The reason that I took this particular image was because it's really important that you set your dog up in a way that they are looking at the space that you want them to run to. So since this is a backside, we're not going to set our dogs up square to the first jump, and we're not going to set them up where they have a line 1 to the wrong side of 2. We're going to set them up so that their line goes 1 to the space between the jump and the tunnel. And if we do that well, you can see from this picture that the dog actually doesn't even see that tunnel when they are sitting on the start line. So this is a picture that I took squatting down and looking through the uprights where I want to put my dog. And this is the first thing that you can do to set yourself up to succeed on this course, is to set your dog up in a good spot there. Anyway, okay, so here we are, and let's talk about, I'm just going to walk through, I'm going to walk backwards here. Hopefully this will, hopefully the sound will stay with us here. So here we have one, and we want to go backside of two. Here's our big tunnel trap. So the first way that I'm going to do this is with a forced front cross. And this is something where the picture for my dog is so distinct that he knows this very well. Like this, inside of this wing, and tunnel. So this is going to be the first option that I'm going to try. Now, as we look at the tunnel, the first option that we're going to try is to go ahead and run the outside of the tunnel. By running the outside of the tunnel, that should immediately let our dogs know that when they come out of the tunnel, they should turn and look for us on the left, because they will see us running the outside as they enter the tunnel. So let's go ahead and get that live demo going. So pretty exciting stuff today, because we are not only are we live here, but we are going to do live demos with the dogs as well. Yes, it is nice and sunny. It's actually a little too sunny. It was so hot earlier. It's just now starting to cool down. Okay. Hey, buddy. Get it. Get. Give. Sit. Would sit. Vin. Get up here. Good boy. So you can see that when I ran the outside of that tunnel, he immediately was looking for me on the left. So that's the advantage of running the outside of the tunnel. Good boy. All right, gonna let him stay cool. I don't get during the run. Okay, that's fine. All right, so that is our first way of running it, and I actually have a pre-recording of it so we can see it in slow motion, because I know it's hard to see everything that's going on. So here's our forced front cross, slow motion. You can see that I added the blind cross there as well. And running the outside of the tunnel, he's going to immediately look left. All right, so that is our first option here. The next one that we're going to do is going to be the German turn at number 2. This basically means we're going to be on this side of that number 2 jump and treat it like a backside. To me, this opens up the tunnel a little bit more because in running for that outside wing with that backside cue, you are putting pressure towards the tunnel, and really, again, depending on that verbal cue, and I think a little bit more they have to understand that with that tunnel facing them right there. Because of that, I actually will give a bypass cue after my dog has taken the first jump as he's on his way. So I will say, side, side, push. And the side, side just kind of lets him know, yes, I know that you and I are running straight at that tunnel, but that's not what we're going to take. And then I give him that backside cue and finish off with the backside serpentine blind, also known as a German turn. And then we're going to look at an alternative for the tunnel, which is to run the inside of the tunnel but blind cross the exit. To do that, we want to really get off of this number 3 jump. We want to really commit the dog and go, because we want to get out in front of that tunnel well before the dog does. We don't want to have a collision. We do want our dogs to actually see our feet run in front of the tunnel. That's going to help them know that we're creating that turn to number 5 along with the verbal. They're going to hear that cue, and that's also going to help them get that turn to number 5. So let's give that a shot real quick. Then get, good boy. And remember that picture that I showed earlier about how we want to line our dogs up so that they're running towards that empty space between the jump and the tunnel. Give, sit. Over, side, side. Shh. So you can see that by running in front of the tunnel, again, he's out of that tunnel, and even though it's natural for him to turn that way or to go straight, he turns left because he sees me cut in front and he can hear me calling his name. So let me put him in the air conditioning and then show you that slow motion. Give. All right, so that would be this slow motion right here. So there's the side pat, then the backside cue, going right into the blind cross. And I get out well in front of him, easy to make that blind. All right, so, sorry, catching my breath here. So that is the 2 different ways of handling the tunnel and the 2 different ways that we're looking for. Sorry, just looking at the comments. 2 different ways that we have looked at so far for handling that tunnel discrimination. Now, there's one other way that I wanted to look at, because if you have the skill, you can make the tunnel discrimination kind of go away. It may be a much harder discrimination of the backside jump, but if you have the skill, it really eases up the tunnel. And so let me show you what I mean there. Walking backwards again here. So we want to go to this backside of number 2. And one thing that we can do is we can use our threadle to the backside here. And what that does is it puts our back to the tunnel, which should completely take that out of our dog's picture. Our dog should never cut behind our back to take anything. So this, when we release our dog, this goes away. This potentially, depending on the skill level of your dog, gets much harder. But if you have the skill, you can release your dog, you can bring and the discrimination a lot easier. So this is the advantage of having that threadle to the backside or in type of cue. So let's bring out the dog. Then, good boy. Over. Over. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Good boy. So that really takes the tunnel out of the picture, and that's yet another way that we can do that. All right, so slow motion of the threadle to the backside here. Again, I just continued with that blind cross of the tunnel exit, really easy to get to. But that threadle cue really takes that tunnel out of the picture. So there's one other obvious option that we can do here, and that is that one wing that's right next to the tunnel. That is such a hard part of the course. What if we just take all of that out of the picture? What if we go to the opposite wing? Now here's a place where I hope that most people looking at this, if you look at the actual map here, you're going to recognize that going to the far wing for the backside and doing like a loop around that far wing, that is not the optimum path for the dog. So it is a longer path to get from one to the backside, going to that far wing. The loop-de-loop always takes a long time for the dog. It does give the same approach to number 3 as the 3 ways that we've already been doing. But you can see that it's not the optimum path, and I don't think that there is a height of dog where that becomes the optimum path, because there's really no advantage to it speed-wise. The advantage to going to that far wing is taking the tunnel discrimination out of the picture. So this is where I think it's important to be very tactical in your training and your trialing. So you need to think about what's important for any particular run. If this is a weekend trial, I would work on trying the way that I thought was going to be fastest and see if I can do it. And if I can't, then that gives me information of what I need to go home and train. Now, if this is the 3rd round of AKC Nationals and I have 2 clean and all I need is a 3rd clean run, it doesn't have to be the fastest, it doesn't carry forward to the next event or anything like that, then this is a place where you could play it safe. You could give up that time. If this is a winner-take-all event, you want to go for the fastest path. So, you know, the right answer changes depending on your skill set, what event you're at, and what your goal is at that event, and how you are relative to the field. So there's a lot of tactical stuff that goes into that. But it's good to recognize that it is an option, and then it's also good to, in practice, run it so you can see how much slower is it, how much am I giving up, so that when you are faced with a similar situation in a trial run, you can make the right decision and you know what you are giving up and whether you can afford to give up that much time. So we're going to demo that real quick. Now here I'm going to set up, in fact I have a picture here, I'm going to set up my dog with a much different view. There we go. So you can see that now if I'm going to the far wing here, I'm going to set my dog up so that he is looking at the space to the left of the wing as we are looking at that wing. He's looking at that empty space to the left. Again, I'm not going to set him up so that he's in a line 1 to the wrong side of number 2. I'm going to set him up so that he is facing that empty space to the left of the wing. All right, so here we go, buddy. Good boy. Good boy. All right, so that is that loop-de-loop path. All right, so in slow motion here. That would be this one. So you can see setting him up so he has this nice line to the backside. Full loop wrap. And there you go. All right, so those are the ways that I wanted to show you, but there's one more thing that I wanted to share, and that is the side-by-side of that choice at number 2. So does anybody have any guesses? Like, I've already told you that it's faster to go on the wing that is closest to the tunnel, and that's kind of the clever course design thing about this sequence. You reward the people that can get past that tunnel trap with a faster path, but you give an alternative to people who can't handle the tunnel trap, but you penalize them for that. So it's a very clever course design thing. So anybody have any guesses as to, like, time-wise, like how big of a difference do we think that that choice is? Is it a quarter second? Is it a half second? Is it 3/4 of a second? Is it a second? What are we giving up by doing that loop-de-loop wrap? And if you look at them, I'll play them. They are in slow motion here, but I feel like both of these look really fast and efficient. So here's the two that we're going to compare. We have the forced front cross. So going to the slice there. And we're going to compare that to this loop-de-loop wrap. All right, so Susan Robinson says 0.7 seconds. Heather says 0.15 seconds. Any other guesses here? And we're going to bring up this side by side. We have 0.5 seconds from Anne. Laura says 0.43. That is oddly specific, Laura, but I like it. It's you know, it's like the Price is Right rules. You got to be like right there, right exact. So these are the guesses that are coming in. Now, let me bring this in. Okay, so we're going to look at a side-by-side of those exact videos that I just showed you. And I have them queued up with the dog just breaking the plane of that first bar. And the first thing that you can see is just the angles. So this dog is very much jumping at a kind of a more severe angle. This dog is jumping much more straight. And in addition to the angles, you can also see how much less distance there is for this dog to get to this wing than there is for this dog to get to this wing. So that's the first big thing that we're looking at there. And as we scroll forward, we're going to see here's the effect of that big difference. This dog is around the outside there, about to take off. This dog has not yet made it around over here. And now the ease at which a dog can slice is so much more than the ease at which they can do a full loop wrap. And Venture is really working it here. This is a very tight wrap. He's doing it very well. He doesn't go super wide as he takes off. He makes this super tiny wrap, but look how far ahead he is here after the slice already. And he is breaking the plane of this jump, and this dog has barely just landed. And so let's put a timer on this so we can see what people were saying. Christine DeClerc says maybe 1 second. Esther says 1.4. Holly says 1 second. So, Lisa says 2. So a little bit over, but not that much, because the difference here is going to be about 1.1 seconds. 1.1 seconds difference just in which wrap, or doing the wrap rather than the slice. So that is a lot of time on course, and this is why I advocate always setting these up, trying them, timing them, and you cannot go by feel, because a really nice wrap can feel really, really great. It still just takes so much time for the dogs to do that. All right, so there are a couple of other things that I want to go ahead and talk about real quick. That is it for that particular sequence. So this was the initial sequence that we were looking at, and what we just demonstrated was 4 different ways to handle it. Handle 1, 2, 3. We did the forced front cross into the Yako turn, the push, the German turn, so push to the backside into a SERP into a blind, the threadle to the backside at number 2. Some people would call that the in, and the going to the far wing of number 2 and doing the loop-de-loop wrap and just avoiding that tunnel altogether. And then we looked at the 2 different ways of handling that 4 to 5 tunnel. Now, I do have a nested sequence for you guys, and actually here's the URL that y'all can get these sequences at. It is also on the replay page at Bad Dog Agility. If you just go there, you'll find it, but if you go to this link, you can get the PDF download that has these maps. I just wanted to look at one thing real quick. I just wanted to give you, I guess, a sneak peek at one of the nested sequences that we have here. And that is this sequence here. We added this jump, the one that says number 5, that one is not in the initial sequence. So if you only have 4 jumps, you can take that top jump down, that number 3 jump from this sequence, you can just move that down and make it the number 5 because it's not used in this nested sequence. Let's see, Terry asked what was the difference. The video was choppy. It was 1.13 seconds. So over a second difference, advantage to slicing versus wrapping. So I want to give you a couple of hints about what you can do with 1, 2, and 3 on this challenge sequence, because I think that that's probably the part that will trip up a lot of people. This is what I would call a blind tunnel entrance. So the dog cannot see the entrance of number 2. So that's a skill that you do need to work on independently, is being able to tell your dog tunnel if they're facing the side of the tunnel, that they go and they find that entrance. So I'm going to show you 2 possible ways of handling that 1, 2, 3, and then I'm going to leave the rest of the sequence up to you guys to work through on your own. So let me go get Venture here. And the first way that we're going to look at is the true blind tunnel entrance. I'm just going to set him up on a straight line, 1 to 2, and I'm just going to tell him tunnel, 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 and expect him to go and find that. So that's kind of the trained tunnel entrance aspect here. So let me bring him out here. Boy, good job. So you can see there, he just has to go and find that tunnel entrance, and he's done enough work that he can do that. I don't know if you could really see at speed, but I do help him a little bit by turning my shoulders back to help him find that entrance. So I don't just blow past the tunnel, because if I run straight past the tunnel, he might actually layer the entire tunnel and come and take that number, or that green jump right there. So I give him a little bit of body help, but not too much. The second way that I wanted to show you guys is leading all the way out to the entrance of number 2 and doing essentially a forced front cross at the entrance of the tunnel. So I think this might be a little bit easier for dogs that are not as familiar with that blind entrance, because they're coming to you, and then by the time they get to you, now they can see the tunnel. Boy. So you can see that's a little bit more of the dog being able to follow you, rather than the dog having to go off on their own and find that tunnel. So I just wanted to give you those 2 ways to look at that 1, 2. The rest of the sequence, that is your homework. So we have this nested sequence here. That was 1, 2, 3 from that sequence. And then there is yet one more in the PDF right here. And you can get all of those by going to this link here. So that is all we have, although we do have a little ray of sunshine that is my daughter. She is ready to read a joke for you guys. Let me just put up this dog first. So we will end this live with a little joke. And before we do that, just thank you everybody for joining us. Sorry about the technical difficulties. We'll see if we can change up how we do this next week. It may mean that we can't do the little scheduled live where it says Bad Dog Agility plans to go live at such and such, and instead you'll just have to remember to go there. But we will send you an email if you're on our mailing list. So that's a great way or a great reason to get on our mailing list, so you can find out about our live broadcasts. All right, you ready?
Yeah.
All right, here's our little ray of sunshine. What's your joke?
My joke is, a lady in labor suddenly shouted, shouldn't, couldn't, wouldn't, can't, and didn't. The doctor said, it's okay, it's just contractions.
It's just contractions. But ching! All right, everybody, thanks a lot. We will see you next week. Happy
Or
training.
Just this